I never thought I'd wake up to find out I was dead. Well, not officially dead, but close enough. The doctors told me later that I'd been in a coma for 8 months after the car accident. 8 months. That's 240 days of my life just gone, erased like someone hit the delete button on my existence. But here's the thing nobody prepared me for. While I was lying in that hospital bed, trapped in darkness, fighting my way back to consciousness, my husband moved on. And when I say moved on, I don't mean he started dating or seeing someone casually. No. David got married to my sister. The first few days after waking up were a blur of medical tests, physical therapy assessments, and tearful reunions with my parents. Everyone seemed so happy to see me awake, so relieved, but there was something off about their joy. It felt hollow, like they were performing happiness rather than genuinely feeling it. My mom couldn't quite meet my eyes. My dad kept clearing his throat and changing the subject whenever I asked about David. And my sister, Rachel? She was nowhere to be found. On day 4, I finally demanded answers. My mom was adjusting my pillows for the 100th time, clearly stalling, when I grabbed her hand and forced her to look at me. Where is David? Where is my husband? The question hung in the air like smoke. I watched my mother's face crumble, watched her try to find words that didn't exist. That's when my dad stepped in, his voice gentle but firm. Sweetheart, a lot has changed while you were asleep. We need to talk about David and Rachel. My brain couldn't process what he was saying at first. David and Rachel. Rachel and David. The words didn't make sense together, like trying to fit puzzle pieces from different boxes. Rachel was my younger sister, my best friend. She'd been in the car with me the night of the accident. We'd been driving home from her birthday dinner. She'd walked away with barely a scratch while I'd been thrown through the windshield. And David? David was supposed to be waiting for me to wake up, holding my hand, believing I'd come back to him. The full story came out slowly, painfully, like pulling glass from a wound. After 3 months in the coma, the doctors had told my family that my chances of waking up were slim. They'd used words like vegetative state and quality of life and letting go. David had been devastated. He'd visited every day at first, talking to me, playing my favorite music, begging me to come back. But as the months dragged on and I remained unresponsive, something shifted. Rachel had been his support system, the person who understood his grief because she was drowning in her own guilt about the accident. They'd bonded over their shared trauma. One thing led to another. My dad tried to make it sound reasonable, like it was a natural progression of events, but all I could hear was betrayal. 4 months. They'd waited 4 months before deciding I was gone enough to start a life together. 4 months before my husband filed for divorce from my comatose body. 4 months before my sister started wearing the ring that should have stayed on my finger. The worst part? It was all legal. David's lawyer had argued that my condition constituted irreconcilable circumstances. The court had appointed a guardian ad litem to represent my interests, and the divorce had been granted. 6 weeks after the divorce was finalized, David and Rachel had gotten married in a small ceremony at the same venue where David and I had exchanged our vows 3 years earlier. My mom showed me pictures on her phone, her hands shaking. Rachel was wearing a white dress. David was smiling. Everyone looked happy. No one looked like they were at a funeral, even though that's exactly what it was. My funeral, while I was still breathing. I demanded to see them. My parents tried to talk me out of it, said I needed to focus on recovery, on getting stronger. But I insisted. I needed to look them in the eyes. I needed to understand how 2 people I'd loved more than anyone could do this to me. The meeting was arranged for a week later. Once I was strong enough to sit up in a wheelchair for an extended period, they came together, holding hands as they walked into my hospital room. That image is seared into my brain forever. Rachel looked thin and pale, dark circles under her eyes that makeup couldn't quite hide. David looked older, grayer, but they were holding hands. My husband's fingers were intertwined with my sister's fingers, and I felt something inside me shatter all over again. Rachel rushed forward, tears already streaming down her face. She tried to hug me, but I held up my hand, stopping her cold. Don't. Just don't. David stood back, his expression a mixture of guilt and defiance. "I'm so glad you're awake," he said, and the words sounded rehearsed. "We never thought you'd wake up." The doctor said there was almost no chance. I stared at him. This man I'd promised forever to. This man who'd apparently redefined forever as until something more convenient comes along. "So you gave up on me. It wasn't a question." David flinched but didn't deny it. "After 5 months, yes. I gave up. I had to move forward with my life." Rachel was sobbing now, full body shaking sobs. She kept saying she was sorry, that she never meant for it to happen, that she'd never forgive herself. But here's what I realized as I watched her dramatic display of remorse. She wasn't sorry it happened. She was sorry I'd woken up to see it. There's a difference. If I'd stayed in that coma, if I'd eventually died like everyone expected, their story would have been tragic and beautiful. The grieving widow and the guilt-stricken sister finding comfort in each other's arms. People would have understood. They might have even been celebrated for finding love in the darkest of times. But I didn't die. I woke up, and suddenly their love story became something ugly and shameful. Suddenly, they were the villains in someone else's nightmare. Mine. I asked them one question. Just one. Did you love me when you married her? I looked directly at David. Did any part of you still love me when you stood at that altar with my sister? He couldn't answer. His silence told me everything I needed to know. Rachel tried to jump in with explanations about timing and grief and how complicated everything had been. But I cut her off. Get out. Both of you. Get out of my room and don't come back. That was 6 months ago. I've spent the time since then rebuilding my life from scratch. Physical therapy to relearn how to walk properly. Occupational therapy to regain fine motor skills. Therapy to deal with the emotional devastation of losing 8 months and coming back to find everything I knew had been dismantled. My marriage was over. My relationship with my sister was destroyed. Even my relationship with my parents was strained because they'd allowed it all to happen. Had attended that wedding, had accepted Rachel and David as a couple while I lay unconscious upstairs. But here's what I've learned through all of this. Betrayal doesn't destroy you unless you let it. Yes, what they did was unforgivable. Yes, the pain was crushing. But I survived a car accident that should have killed me. I survived 8 months in a coma. I survived waking up to a world where I'd been erased and replaced. I'm a survivor. That's my identity now. Not wife, not sister, survivor. I've started over in a new city. New apartment, new job, new friends who don't know my history unless I choose to share it. Sometimes I run into people from my old life, and they look at me like I'm a ghost. Maybe I am. Maybe the old me did die in that accident, and this is someone new wearing her face, someone stronger, someone who knows exactly what people are capable of when they think you're not watching. David and Rachel are still married as far as I know. I've heard through the grapevine that they're expecting a baby. Part of me feels a flicker of pain at that news, but mostly I feel nothing. They're strangers now. Their life is happening in a different universe, one I'm no longer part of. And you know what? I'm okay with that. Better than okay. Because I've learned that the worst thing that can happen to you isn't being betrayed. It's staying in a place where betrayal is possible. I chose to leave. I chose myself. So if you're wondering how this story ends, here it is. I woke up from a coma and my husband was already married. And I let him go. Not because I forgave him, not because I understood, but because holding on to that pain would have been like drinking poison and waiting for them to die. I chose life instead. My life. And it's beautiful.